Okay, welcome back, everybody. Good afternoon again. Welcome to the next session in the series of AI and technology and catering. This is with Marc Zones and James Billy. Um, Again, the same housekeeping for the session today. You'll notice that your mic's muted, but you can communicate with Mark or James through the chat function or the Q&A function if you have a question that suddenly pops into your head if you haven't asked it in the registration process. Um, don't forget the session's being recorded, and the recorded session will be in the past events of the professional development events section in the Academy part of the Tuco website, but you'll need login details to do that. It'll also be in the Tuco Facebook page, which is being live streamed at the moment, and then also on the Tuco YouTube page eventually. So over to you, Mark. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Sarah. And really a pleasure to speak to all of you and have the opportunity to share a little bit more about what we do. My name is Marc Zones. I am the founder and CEO of Winnow. I'm going to tell you a little bit more about Winnow and our technology and kind of the mission that we're on as a business. Going to speak to kind of how our technology works and the impact that we have, and give a couple of examples of in the education space the impact that we deliver. So without further ado, just kind of jumping into it. I think first of all, just talk about, why do we care about this issue? And if you just zoom out on the issue of food waste, about a third of all food that we grow actually is not eaten. It ends up being an enormous environmental impact for that, all the land use that's used to grow that food, all of the methane emissions from food being thrown away that is not eaten. But it's a big inefficiency in the system. That said, the reason why, beyond the environmental issues, one might care about it, it's an enormous economic loss. It's about $1 trillion a year of food that is thrown away. And Winnow is in the business of helping organizations understand food waste in their own operations, drive that down, save money, and operate a more sustainable operation at the same time. And within that, what we also see is that the food industry itself and the sort of way food is served is really at a tipping point, right? We had a huge turmoil that went through with COVID, people needing to rethink a lot. There's been inflation that's gone through on the food side. But really, what's happening now are calls for how do we grow our food more in a more sustainable and efficient way? How do operators, as sort of the challenges of COVID and the inflation, while they're still very real, are perhaps a little bit less dynamic than where they are. How do we get after that and build a better food system? And that's what we're trying to help address. So when we talk about the issue of food waste, making it really very, very relevant kind of in the university space, and in generally places where people eat food out of home, what we know is that between 5 to 15% of what any commercial kitchen operation buys ends up getting thrown away. To put that into perspective, if one was to spend £1 million a year on food in an operation, that's going to be a 50 to 150,000 pounds worth of food at that purchasing cost that ends up getting wasted. Seems like a big number. Frankly, a lot of people say, "Hey, maybe I don't really throw that in my own operation. Is that really me?" I can tell you that working with thousands of kitchens around the world, that these statistics hold true in almost every single operation that we've been in. And so we think about that as a really big opportunity for you to get after. If you could reduce that, think about the savings it could deliver, how that money could be better spent for that. And globally, if you zoom out, it's over a $100 billion problem for the sector, and something that we believe we can do a lot to be able to address it. So what Winnow does is we provide technology to be able to help you understand and then prevent food waste in your operations in a very easy way. The tools we have are basically tools that allow you to be able to track waste, get analytics on what's being wasted, adjust your production patterns, produce more efficiently, and drive down food waste as a result. We do have a suite of solutions, everything from sort of our control package up to our AI Plus. The main thing that I'm going to talk about today is Vision AI. It is our artificial intelligence enabled solution where you just throw the food in the bin. Our AI will help you to identify what it is that's being thrown away. Your staff won't even have to interact with the system in the kitchen, making it very easy for you to be able to collect real-time data around what's being wasted, and then the analytics that we provide that sort of come off the back of that. With that package that we work with a number of clients on, it allows you to easily track waste, achieve your goals on reducing waste. And we're really partnering with you on that package, helping you not just to deliver the technology, but you get partnered with someone from our customer success team that helps you identify best practices, drive those best practices in your operation, and bank those benefits in what you do. That technology can be used both to track pre-consumer waste, and we also have the same hardware that's used to track post-consumer waste or plate waste, which I'll talk about in a little bit more detail as a case study of what we've done as well. To introduce the technology in a little bit more detail, this is the way that it works. Basically, there is a terminal that goes onto a wall or kind of on a stand with a camera that looks down in the bin. As you throw food away, the system's going to take a photograph. We'll know what the weight of food was that was thrown away, and then we'll identify what the product was that was thrown away. It can recognize everything from raw ingredients to more complex dishes in what you have. It makes for a very intuitive interface, giving staff visibility on what's being thrown away in real time. And then our AI tools plus the data validation work that we do in the cloud means that your staff genuinely don't have to really have any physical interaction in the kitchen to record that waste. Something that we're really proud to be able to bring to the market, something that literally fits into your operation in the normal course of how it works. You're just throwing the food away and moving on with your day. It's real time collecting that data, raising awareness of waste, and giving you data in the cloud to be able to drive change. To give you a sense of kind of how that technology works, it's a camera looking down at the bin. Every single time something is thrown away, it is identifying what is new. That is then lifted up and thrown into our global computer vision models that are trained on hundreds of millions of images of all of our customers using this on a regular basis. It will then identify what that product is. And send that live back to our system to be able to understand that. It's a patented process that we have that really makes it super easy to implement a technology like this. Beyond the ease of use of the technology, we really bring our best-in-class analytics to be able to help our culinary teams make better decisions on what needs to be changed to reduce food waste and how. So the first thing you get a set of reports that come to you out of our system that highlight what was wasted and the key areas of opportunity. Those are customizable, but generally what executive chefs like is to receive that the very next morning on, hey, here's how much was thrown away in the previous service. Here's how that compares relative to what you would like to be achieving, and here are the opportunities you have. In addition to that, all of our customers get access to the online platform where they can see the photographs of what's being wasted. It's pretty easy to go in and look at the bin and see what's being thrown away at any given time. That's valuable from just an understanding of your operation as well as a training perspective, where you need to be able to bring some of that to life or identify opportunities to better maximize the yield on raw ingredients that are coming in. And then for multi-kitchen operators, we have a waste intelligence platform called Winnow Hub that allows you to go in, see performance across different kitchens, be able to zoom in and be able to see what's going on, and be able to understand where the big opportunities are that you have. For example, we have a university with about 15 different kitchens using our technology. They're able to benchmark waste levels across the 15 different kitchens, understanding how much is being thrown away relative to the volume of food that's being served in those outlets, being able to see what common dishes are working and what's not, and being able to adjust production accordingly, giving them visibility that they didn't have previously otherwise. Now, just to sort of talk about what that means when it's actually put into place. Generally, when we implement this technology, just to say before I go into the actual case studies, is that we're typically able to cut food waste by about 40 to 70% by value. What that means for you is generally that where Winnow's implemented and the food costs that we're tracking, we're able to save anywhere between 2% to 8% of what is spent on food. This is an example of a school in the UK with Compass Group. They implemented Winnow have driven down food waste by 58% since 2017, saving over 13,000 pounds a year in terms of food cost, over 23,000 meals saved per year, and 42 tons of CO2. So a very pragmatic example of how that works, sort of in a secondary education area. In addition to that, we've done some work with the London School of Economics to look not just at what's being wasted before it gets to a plate, but also understanding what happens when it gets to what's being left over on a plate. And we ran some experiments to understand kind of how you communicate to diners around what needs to happen from a plate waste perspective. And we've actually tested that in the London School of Economics. They've actually deployed our AI platform as well as our plate waste platform into their operations. And from that, we've actually had a pretty big effect. Just looking at the pre-consumer level, we've driven some pretty substantial reductions. But on a plate waste perspective, we've also been able to engage diners and help them reduce their plate waste by 34%. That's through behavioral nudges that we can look at. It's through understanding what's not being eaten on the plates and adjusting the service and sort of offering accordingly. And is an ongoing partnership that we're really proud of with a two co-member. So when you zoom out to the impact that we're having, beyond those great case examples, Winnow today is actually a global business. We started the business here in the UK, and it's one of our stronger markets. But we've now been really scaled up and adopted everywhere. We're used today in over 3,000 kitchens around the world. Within that, there are over 40 universities that are using Winnow today. It's a growing market for us and one that we're really excited to share more about what we're doing with Tuco to hopefully expand that. That's universities in the UK, universities in other parts of Europe, as well as universities in the United States and in Canada, of various levels of complexity as well. Some universities that may just have one single dining hall, to the example that I gave previously of a university that has over 14 dining halls and a fairly complex operation. On average, our customers are saving 53% by value of what they were wasting before we started with them. What that means is that we're really able to demonstrate that we can drive substantial waste reductions in a lot of different environments and gives us confidence that if we were to work with any of the great universities within the TUCO world, that we'd be able to do the same. When we scale that up to our global impacts, we're saving our clients 50 million meals a year from being wasted. That is more than one meal, more, excuse me, more than two meals per second that are not being wasted by those that have implemented Winnow. And from a value perspective, that's over $70 million a year in food costs every year that our customers are saving. In fact, it's the number one thing that we track is how much food waste we're preventing for our clients. It's a big indicator of the impact that we have as an organization, of the value that we're delivering to our clients. And it's our goal before the end of the decade to grow that to $1 billion of savings per annum for the clients using Winnow. On the right-hand side are just a subset of the logos of organizations we work with. So we work with a lot of hotel operators. We work with a lot of resort and sort of larger kitchen operators. We work with more efficient sort of focused service groups like, excuse me, on a quick service side, IKEA, who has rolled Winnow out to all 425 of their stores and helped them to reduce food waste by over 50%. They were, in fact, the first global food service operator to halve their food waste worldwide. We work with contract caterers like Compass Group, like ISS, like Dana Hospitality, but we also work directly with independent universities as well as organizations that want to cut food waste, like Microsoft and LSC, to name a couple. A lot of the universities we actually work with are independent operators, and it's both growing in the sort of contracted out space as well as the independent operators where we're sort of growing our impact. Finally, we do a lot of work in cruise ships, maybe not something as applicable to you guys. We want to give you guys a sense of kind of the breadth and depth of how Winnow is applied and the capabilities that we bring to the market and how proven the technology is. So that's really a quick introduction on Winnow and some of the work that we do. If you're interested in learning more and sort of joining the mission on what we're trying to do, we'd really invite you to have a discussion. James Belly, who's on the call with me, is the business development manager that's looking after the two-co relationship and is someone who would be really excited to have a conversation with you in more detail to explain our technology, help you understand the costs of our value proposition, and help you build a business case for implementation with Winnow so that we can help you do the right thing, save money, and advance the mission at the same time. So I'll stop there. And I think we have a few questions from the groups coming in, Sarah, that we can start to walk through.
You do, absolutely. So, the first question I have is, does this integrate with any other systems? So we use systems like Saffron and Civica, which also works out income data and things like that. So, how can they merge the waste figures with the income data?
Yeah, I think that's a really good question. And let me just kind of actually go to a slide I have in the appendix to actually just speak to that. I think, first of all, to say that generally what we do from an integration perspective, we at a minimum want to pull in accurate data on sort of what those costs of the foods are that you're serving. That's data that we validate with you. We also want to look at the volumes of your business, and we can pull that in on an integrated perspective on how much business you're doing so that when we're looking at waste levels, we're able to normalize that and give you insights on how you should adjust your production accordingly to drive down that waste. Um, Today, those two platforms we don't integrate today out of the box, but we are in the process of actively expanding our integrations. And if it's particularly relevant for you and a detailed integration with one of these technologies would be more valuable, we'd really like to have a conversation with you to understand what are the points of integration that you want to have as part of this so that we can prioritize that on our integration roadmap. To give you a sense of the types of integrations that we do, generally when we pull integrations from systems, we're pulling in data, for example, what are the costs of food and what is it being purchased at, where recipes are being stored, what do those recipes mean, how much are they cost, what are the portions of those recipes, and what specifically recipes are active on any given day. That when we have an integration can be fed into our system to be able to help drive more accuracy in our data. And then what that data can do is it can feed in downstream to systems, whether that is going into your food cost or sort of profit and loss reporting, where that feeds in and helps you understand what it is and how much you're spending on food that is being thrown away and sort of your ongoing management KPIs, but also feeding into things like inventory management as well to be able to help with things like production planning and otherwise. To enable some of those features, that does require the more detailed integration. That does require us to have a conversation to really understand how you're applying some of those technologies, and we can have a chat with you about when we might be able to do that. What I'll say though is that sometimes looking at this looks a little bit complex, and you say, I'm not really sure I want to go down this full integration. How do I understand what Winnow can do just out of the box? We work with a lot of kitchens out of the box to be able to deliver value. We have a plug and play version of our technology, which we can also implement to drive that value and then unlock those levels of integrations as a follow-up step. James would be able to explore that with you further as we have that discussion. So thanks.
Excellent. So that kind of leads us into the next question about how you manage and maintain the accuracy of the data for to control bias.
Yeah, I think that's a really good question, right? So AI is going to have bias and sort of things we need to be aware of. So what we're doing in the cloud at all times is we are auditing all of the accuracy of our AI tools, and we are validating that our data is accurate. We work with organizations that help us to ensure and double check that the AI is in fact being accurate. Where there are errors in the artificial intelligence, because there will be, the AI isn't 100% perfect yet. We're using that data to inform how we can retrain and improve our models. On top of that, the service we provide is we're actually updating and fixing that data in the cloud as well. So what we do provide with our technology is really kind of multiple layers of data quality assurance. You've got the AI that's going to give you real-time feedback and give you that accurate view of what's being wasted. And then you have that review of data in the cloud that's going to ensure that you're getting a high level of data quality as well as a validation that the AI isn't giving you information that's biased or incorrect. And we're continually improving that on a process. It's an internal KPI that we track on a regular basis. And I would say the proof is in the pudding in the impact that we're having. This AI technology is rolled out to the thousands of locations that we work with. We have a lot of happy customers with the value that it provides from that.
with a lot of reduced waste.
Absolutely.
So what role does AI play in modern food waste management systems within the catering industry, and how has the integration of AI changed the industry, do you think?
I think it's a really good question. I mean, so look, food waste prevention and food waste management. Winnow's been doing this for more than 10 years. And when I built the business, I always had my eye on artificial intelligence being a real unlock to make this technology easier. But day one, Winnow being implemented was effectively a tablet and a scale to make it very easy to record food waste because we saw a challenge that chefs wanted to track food waste, but found it very difficult to do it with pen and paper. When we launched our Vision AI product in 2018, 2019, what we were able to demonstrate and why we brought it was we wanted to make it super easy for chefs to be able to record waste. The ability to track waste in your operation without additional labor costs, to be able to make sure that that data that you're tracking is accurate, is a really key thing to make sure that we get right, to make sure that this is something that is sustainable and scalable for you to implement. We spend all of our energy making sure that if you want to track food waste, it's as easy as possible to implement and as quick as possible to get to those savings that justify the business case to make it right. That's a big pillar that we have unlocked in our journey to save $1 billion a year from being thrown away. And
Wow.
it's really transformed the work that we do with our clients. The last thing that I'll say on this is that we're not stopping there from an artificial intelligence perspective. What we use today is what I would call computer vision. There's a whole bunch of other tools we're bringing to bear when you dig into our system a little bit more around understanding trends in the data that highlight insights to you, being able to provide better predictive analytics on how much food needs to be prepared, other types of data like that, that we're bringing some of the really exciting capabilities that artificial intelligence brings to us that we're going to bring to the market to help commercial kitchens operate their kitchens as effectively as possible.
Thank you. We've got one that says, in our kitchens we don't see high levels of food waste, and our kitchens run pretty efficiently. How would Winnow add value here?
Yeah. First of all, we rarely meet a chef who says, "I throw away a lot of food. Come help," right? Often chefs and usually chefs are very proud of running kitchens as efficiently as they can. I think the reality, though, is that there's a lot of variability in sort of how kitchens operate, and executive chefs unfortunately can't always be in the kitchen at all times. And when food's thrown away, often it's happening and being taken out of sight pretty quickly. And so understanding food waste, what I would say the first thing is that often our customers underestimate how much is being thrown away. That being said, we work with some of the most efficient kitchens out there. I'd point to IKEA as an example. They are off the charts in terms of efficiency from when we started with them. And the proof points we have in their operations, being able to save them over 30 million a year in food costs, $30 million in food costs, helping them cut their food waste in half and deliver a strong return on investment is evidence of that. And I'd zoom out and say that our average customer saves about 20,000 pounds a year in food costs having implemented Winnow. And 94% of our clients stick with us every single year as a testament, not just of the value that we deliver within the first year of implementing Winnow, but the tools and capabilities we provide to make sure that you can run your kitchen on an efficient basis, on an ongoing basis. What we're really here for is we're giving the chef operational control. We're providing visibility to what's happening. When you have that and you're unable to unlock that, you're going to run the best kitchen possible. You're going to run a very efficient kitchen. You're going to have lower costs and happier customers. And that's what we're here to enable.
Okay. We're about to run over a little bit, so I'll ask you one last question. Once you've run an effective campaign to reduce plate waste, how do you maintain those lower levels and keep your students engaged in that process and making sure you keep that minimum?
Yeah, we would have an ongoing awareness campaign, but I would say that the awareness campaign and the nudges are just part of what we do. Um, Beyond the sort of nudging of what we do, I think the real power with our vision plate waste system that we have is also we have analytics of what people aren't eating. And so this is not just about telling someone, hey, please clean your plate. It's also about understanding why is it that certain dishes aren't getting fully eaten when they're put onto their plates? Is it because of how the food is cooked or the recipe? Is it the portion size that's being given to them? If it's a self-service, is it things like the serving dishes or the order in which food is being provided to diners? And really, all of those tools are what we bring to bear. So while part of this is a behavior change and something that we believe you should do on a regular basis to continue to drive this, you'll have new students coming through every single year. It's also about structurally, what are the choices you're giving diners? How are those recipes and those choices being taken on by diners? And then what ends up left over on a plate, and how might we make adjustments to prevent that? Because a clean plate in the end ultimately is a happy plate. And those are the tools that we bring to be able to help address plate waste in operations.
Excellent. Thank you so much for joining us today. I know you're a very busy person, and you're joining us from the States. And thank you to James for joining us as well. If you want to get in touch with James, his details are on there for you. If you have any questions, and you didn't manage to get James's information, just get in touch with me. My contact details in the registration email, and I'll pass them on to the right person. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll hopefully see you again soon.
Thanks a lot, Sarah, and thanks a
Thank
lot for the
you.
time.
Thank you,
Thank
Sarah.
you. Bye
Thank you,
bye.
everyone.